Hello, Valentine's Day is near, and I thought it would be fun to rate hearts, so I'm going to do that. I drew some hearts, and I'll be reviewing some heart photos that I found online. Now, it's not going to be an extensive list, but what the fuck ever, we're just gonna get into it. So the first heart I have, this is the handmade perfect heart. Now, this heart is obviously handmade, but it's with the effort of trying to make it as perfect as you can. Right. You know, she can be filled in, she cannot be filled in. She's versatile. She is a versatile one. I do appreciate her for that. I like seeing this heart handmade cards. When you cut out a card, right, and it's like handmade and perfect, because, you know, nothing is perfect. Usually the top and the bottom of the heart, you know what, somewhat, I don't know how to describe this. It's not equidistant. What is this? Similar in its size. Heart ratings will be rated as we go along. Heart ratings will be determined. Heart qualifications will be determined as we move forward, yes. To give it a rating, I would say I'd give it a nice 8 out of 10. A very solid heart. Do I want to see it everywhere? Not all the time. There's a time and a place for a heart, you know, for an occasion, if you will. The next heart that we have is what I describe it as the butt heart. It just looks like a butt. It looks like a butt. The bottom is round. Pun not intended. The bottom is round. The top of the heart is akin to a butt. Not really crazy about this kind of heart. There can be buttier hearts. I'm sure that you've seen that kind of heart before. Not too crazy about it. The rating I would give it would be a 4 out of 10. Not really my favorite heart. It's a little silly. A butt heart, I feel like, does better with being filled in, colored in. A butt heart and it's just a line, I feel like we're getting into dented circle territory, and this goes against her. She needs to be colored in. Sometimes a nice butt heart is nice, but the rounder it gets with its heart shape, I guess ironically, the less heart shape it becomes, and then it just becomes a butt. And so what territory are we getting into here if it's just a butt and not a heart? The next heart that we have is, as I describe it, the elegant heart. Now, the elegant heart is a little similar to the handmade perfect heart, right? But in the bottom, it kind of goes in a little bit. Not enough, because there's different hearts with curvatures. I feel like she's extremely versatile. You can color her in, fill her in. You can leave her just as a line, and she's beautiful. She's perfect. There's really not much you can say about her. You know, she doesn't say too much, but she has a little pizzazz, a little something. She's refined. She sits there and she looks pretty, and I appreciate her for that. I really do. Now, the rating I would give the elegant heart, I would give her a 10 out of 10. I love to see an elegant heart all the time. Well, let's say most of the time, you know, let's not use extremes here. The next heart that we're going to review is the messy heart, as I describe it. This heart, I am not a fan of, I'm going to be honest. She's very messy. She wants to be different. And you know what? I can give her her flowers for that. But we're getting less into heart territory, and we're just getting more into what kind of shape can we make. You know, it's a little akin to just putting candy canes next to each other, or like fish hooks next to each other, and it's just like, look, it's a heart. And yeah, it's a heart, but you know, it's not really something I'd like to see on a card. It gives me that you didn't really put that much effort into the heart, and you know, where was the effort? Where was the effort put in? I want to see effort put into a heart. Messy, sometimes she can get away with being filled in, sometimes, and maybe that will make her a little bit better to me personally, but I don't know. Maybe a not filled in, she would say something if you're feeling a little different that day. Also points off for the ends at the bottom. I don't like it when hearts do this at the bottom. Not a fan of that. I'm going to give her a 1 out of 10. She doesn't really do it for me. I'm sorry, messy heart, but you gotta get out of here. The next heart that we have is the swirly heart. This heart is a little bit similar to the elegant heart. You know, she has like that curve at the bottom, you know, but then there's a little line at the end. Various lines can go here and there, but it doesn't really do this. like how the messy heart does. You know what I'm saying? And she may be a little lopsided, but it's cutesy. It's cutesy. It says something. She's fun. She likes to be a little different. She likes to say something here and there. I think I appreciate the swirly heart more when it is not filled in, when it is not colored in. I think she gives more impact when she's not colored in. As for her rating, I'll give her a 7 out of 10. You know, I don't want to see her all the time. However, I do appreciate the swirl. I can appreciate a good swirl. Next heart that we have is Big Scoop. Okay, this heart, I'm going to be really harsh on her. And I'm sorry for any Big Scoop heart lovers out there, but I do not like the Big Scoop. She's unflattering, filled in or not filled in, unfortunately. The fact that her curvature, like at the bottom, why is it at the top she's so heavy? This is actually why I described her as the Big Scoop, because it looks like you have like a little cone at the bottom and then you have 2 big scoops of whatever you want, ice cream. Why is it that she has a little curve and then it's like huge, you know? It's just not giving a nice balance, and that's just unpleasing to me. On top of that, with the Big Scoop heart, usually I see there's like a sort of squareness on the sides when you're making, I guess, the butt aspect of the heart. Not really a fan of that. For rating, I'm going to give Big Scoop a 0 out of 10. I'm sorry, I have to give her a 0 out of 10. I don't like Big Scoop. The next heart that we have is Little Cutie. She's a little one, little itty bitty one. I love the little cutie. She is a little cutie. What can you say? She's small. She has a nice balance to the top and the bottom of the heart. Usually the bottom and the, I don't know how you describe it, the crest of the heart, where it goes like this, the valley of the heart. Sometimes the little cutie can have a little point at the end. This little cutie is a little rounded at the bottom. At the top, it does come to like more point rather than rounded like how the bottom is. I really like that about a little cutie. She does well, filled in or not filled in, colored in or not colored in. I think she does really well for that. Love a good little cutie. As for her rating, I have to give her a 10 out of 10. She's extremely cute. I love to see her very often. Dare I say all the time. We may be using extremes here. Next heart on the list, the lopsided heart. Okay, unlike the messy heart, the lopsided heart, there's some effort in it. You know, the ends, they don't go like this. And I don't know what happened to her in the making of the lopsided heart, but I do appreciate an uneven heart as long as it looks like there was effort put in. Not all the time though, not all the time. Sometimes, most of the time, I enjoy a generally symmetrical heart, but I can't appreciate the funkiness of a lopsided heart. Filled in or not filled in, the lopsided, I think she does better not filled in, to be quite frank. She gets a 5 out of 10. She's a bit of a 50-50. It depends on what you're feeling, what you want to do that day. Next heart we have is point across. She's a very simple heart. She literally gets the point across, right? She's small, but her impact is big. Seeing many point across hearts, you know, I don't really get tired of it. I do like to see a lot of point across hearts in a nice group. Very cute. Does not get tired. Does not get tired. What can I say, you know? She just came in to do her business, her job, and she just want to get her point across. As for her rating, I'll give her a 7 out of 10. I would say I prefer her being filled in, colored in, rather than being just a line art. I feel like she gives more bang for her buck when she's colored in. You know, the heart isn't necessarily perfect or anything. As stated, she does get her point across. It's simple, it's cute though, and that's why she gets her 7 out of 10. The next heart that we have is dented. This heart I see a lot in necklaces, and I want to be honest, I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan of the dented heart. Usually with a dented heart, it looks off in its balance. For example, the bottom, right? It has a point, and it's similar to the Big Scoop where it's like, why does it immediately go veer off? Why are we getting horizontal? Why are we not diagonal? We're going horizontal. This is getting scary. Scary territory here. But then as she's like starting to veer into horizontal territory, she corrects herself, and that's like, whoa, what's happening here? What's happening here? And then she fills up at the top. What's up with that? And then, even more confusing to me, why does the top, the crest, the valley of the heart, the top, the butt, why does she go like this? Why is there a curve at the top? I feel like she did all that at the bottom just to make a disappointment at the end. She did a nothing burger at the top, and she could have redeemed herself, but she didn't. I feel like she does better when she's colored in, filled in. When she's just line art, I start to see less of her point. I get angrier the further she speaks to me. Dented heart, I'm going to have to give you a 3 out of 10. It's very rare that I would appreciate you, but I can recognize that you do say something occasionally. It's just not something I want to hear. Next, we have the isosceles heart. This heart pisses me off. I hate this heart. I'm actually immediately right off the bat, I'm going to give this heart a 0 out of 10. I hate this heart. I actually made this heart ironically with a equilateral triangle and then just 2 circles. Why does she turn out that way? The balance is off. The balance is off and it irks me to no end. Why is it the top? I don't like hearts where it looks like I could just put a ruler and another ruler and then a circle and call it a day. 2 circles and call it a day. And then on top of that, with this isosceles heart, the top, the heart, with the balance to go back into the balance is off. Why is it that the circles, when they come together, it's not really making that much of a divot? Why? Now you just look weird. You just look like an off triangle. There's no saving this one. I don't care if she's filled in, if she's a line art. I don't care. Either or, I need her to get out of my face. 0 out of 10. I have to reiterate, 0 out of 10. Next, we have the default heart. She came at this time point because I did not realize that I had a shape tool in my art program, Adobe Fresco. Default heart, I recognize the effort that she puts in. She paved the way for all the hearts to be made, right? And we have to give her her flowers for that. However, she does not really say much, you know? She created the mold and that's really about it. That's really all I can offer her. However, even though this is all I can offer her, I recognize that she is the foundation of hearts and the heart universe as we know it. So thank you, default heart. As for your rating, you get a 5 out of 10. Default heart gets a 5 out of 10. She can do whatever you need her to do, and she gets the job done, really. The next heart that we have, Miss Popsicle Stick. This heart, as her name suggests, she just looks like 2 popsicle sticks put together. And someone was like, yep, that's a heart. Why is she long like that? She's balanced and unbalanced at the same time. It's confusing. We're getting into checkmark territories. If she and lopsided heart had a baby, she would just look like a checkmark. Let's be for real. Miss Popsicle Stick, there really is no saving her, whether she's filled in or line art. There really isn't. She's just popsicle sticks. As for Miss Popsicle Stick rating, I'm going to have to give her a popsicle out of 10. Now, we'll actually give her a 2 out of 10 for the 2 popsicle sticks that was used to make her. Moving on, we have Loopty. Loopty, I want to like her. I really do. However, when making Miss Loopty, it's unpleasant. It's an unpleasant journey to go through. It's really hard to make her feel balanced. And then the loop, she doesn't really give much compared to, say, Swirly. The little loop just feels like it's in the way. I'm sorry, I have to say it. The loop feels unnecessary. It's very rare that I can appreciate a good loopty heart. Maybe, and this is a big maybe, if the heart was, let's say the heart was about this shape, and then there was like a teardrop in the middle for the loop, maybe she could get something going. She can get a conversation started. Loopty's kind of difficult with being filled in. You'd have to be very specific in the colors that you'd want to pick to get that point across that there's a loop, but I feel like she does best when she is just a line art. She's just a line. And for that, it makes her less versatile. Even though she loops around and she seems fun, she's actually very rigid because of this. And for that, her rating should have to be a 3 out of 10. 3 out of 10 because I'm giving her a potential, a chance to say something with the teardrop heart. With that, you know, this, and then the little teardrop, she can maybe do something with that. Next we have Baker. Now the Baker heart, She looks like the mid-process of a cookie being baked and it expands and it loses its form. She looks like that. She's a little cute. I do appreciate some of the roundness. There's a balance a little bit, just a little bit. But the top I have an issue with. This is why I say she's starting to lose her form. The top, you know, it doesn't really go in further. It's just, and then at that point, we're just getting into a wrong circle, a wrong triangle. I think I would appreciate her more if she was filled in. Line art, I feel like would be less flattering for her, unfortunately. I was trying to think of it with just being line art, but I think her being colored in would do her better. I usually see her more in like crystals or like heart necklaces where they're like puffy, but it depends. Sometimes that heart looks nice and sometimes it doesn't. She's really kind of a wild card. Baker, I hardly even know her. Baker, I'm gonna have to give her a 4 out of 10. The top really is unfortunate. Shame about the top. We're now going to move into other hearts that I didn't make, but I feel like we need to talk about them. Candy hearts. They kind of fall in between a Baker heart and a default heart. It's a little simple, plain. They're a little cute because they're rounded. I think if they were harsher pointed, they would be less flattering. I do appreciate the 3D-ness. I do appreciate the flatness on the side so that you have the heart, but then when you turn it, right, it's flat. I do appreciate that. I do think it's unfortunate that some candy hearts aren't perfect in their mold, but you know, that's okay, that happens. As for their rating, they're going to get a 5 out of 10. I think the colors are doing the heavy lifting for the candy hearts. The pastel, that makes it cuter, and it kind of lets you get away with the shape of the heart. The next hearts that we're going to talk about are from Legend of Zelda. They're going to be from various games, and it's just going to be like quick, like boom, 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 boom. For just hearts themselves, I'm going to start with Link's Awakening Nintendo Switch. We're going to give that a 6. Ocarina of Time heart, we're giving it a 4.5. Ocarina of Time 3D, yeah, that's getting a 2. The Wind Waker heart, we're giving that a 10 out of 10. Twilight Princess heart, we're going to give that a 9 out of 10. Phantom Hourglass, we're gonna give this a 4. Scratch that. Phantom Hourglass gets a 3. Spirit Tracks gets a 4. Skyward Sword gets a 10. A Link Between Worlds gets a 9. Triforce Heroes gets a 9. Echoes of Wisdom, a 9. As for heart containers, Link's Awakening Nintendo Switch, a 7. Ocarina of Time, a 6.5 out of 10. Ocarina of Time 3D, that's getting a 1, I'm sorry. Wind Waker, 7.5. Twilight Princess, 7.5. Phantom Hourglass, 8. Spirit Tracks also gets an 8. It's the same. Skyward Sword, we'll give it a 7. A Link Between Worlds, a 5. Breath of the Wild, 6.5. Same applies to Tears of the Kingdom. Echoes of Wisdom, a 7. This last heart, I feel like I had to mention. This is Blue Goldstone, if I believe. I used to have a necklace like this, if not the exact same. That heart was beautiful. I love a good puffy heart, a 3D heart. And then the blue glittery, it was gorgeous. I loved that heart necklace. I don't know why I gave it away. I wish I didn't. Maybe I'll try and get one. That is a beautiful heart, especially in 3D. That is a beautiful heart. This one gets a 10 out of 10. 3D hearts are very hard. That is a whole other topic to get into. I tried to find some good hearts, but none of them were the examples that I had in my head. Anyway, that's it for this serious heart review video. Do you agree with my points? Do you not? Let me know. I just had to let it be known. Had to make my voice heard. But I do really like all these hearts. In the end, a heart is a heart, and you gotta appreciate what it has to offer. The video ends when I clap.